of AoE damage. They have a little bit with Renekton, but really they have a heavy single target focus, and just I'm not sure that they would have enough damage in fights. And then there's also the concern that if they're going up against a tanky team, which is already what Kiedys Mialem has, they could really struggle with that Diana pick, because Diana is countered by those tanky bruisers. She just like dive into Yorick or Lee Sin or something like that, and they'd be like, oh, well, you know, this is kind of awkward because I have to kill you now. Yep. But I don't know. So I like the Ahri pick. You know, she will be able to kite around the outside of that fight, and we'll see where they're going. And Katarina will be kind of interesting. This is, I mean, it's not the normal, you know, we don't really see Katarina in a lot of comps, but seems they're just going to go ahead and run it. And I'm kind of curious how the Katarina Yorick will work. You know, if she can just get ghosted and run around and still proc her passive. Yeah, does it? Yeah, because once she does get Ghouled, if she does die, you can just keep on continuing with the damage. If she gets a second ultimate from that Yorick goal, that could be devastating in fights. That'd be huge. And having the Lulu as well for the support, she has all these shields, so she can be extremely aggressive right in the middle of the team. Yeah, Wild Growth, like right on top of the Katarina ult. Not only you get the pop-up, you get people just waiting for the stun, because you're going to be straight on in. You got Taric, you got Ahri, you got Renekton. Once Kat starts ulting, you're going to see those three guys just charge right on in to get the stun or charm or whatever, just make her stop already. But it could be a nice bait. You get Lulu ult on top of the Cat, be fantastic, get everyone slowed, get everyone popped up, just pave the way for Ezreal to get in all that damage. So Tristana and Taric down bot lane. Nunu will actually be in the jungle. And it's a pretty, I mean, that is a pretty hurtful lane too. If you get that stun down, Shatter followed up with Tristana, with the attack speed story, that can be huge. But you do see Tristana going for the summoner heal. So a little bit of survivability, not as much kill potential. It may even be looking to just a passive farm. Yeah, that wouldn't be that surprising. She does have a lot of burst potential, particularly with Taric. Yeah. You know, even without having that ignite. But against the Ezreal and Lulu, they are probably going to play passive. They could potentially pick off the Lulu. But if they're going after Lulu, that's going to leave them vulnerable to Ezreal. He's going to be able to be very aggressive. Katarina actually going 0-9-21. Yeah, like that's interesting. Major utility. Getting to CDR. You know, what were the runes again? The runes were actually magic. So mostly defensive runes with movement speed, and that's the same thing with the masteries. It's utility masteries, but with defensive tendencies. So that's kind of interesting. So it reduces some of her damage output, but the base damage for Katarina is already really high, and it will allow her to be very aggressive. And they have the double teleport. Yeah, so it could be. They could also be looking to very aggressively push lanes, and as mentioned, as you have to mention every time there's a Yorick pick, you also have to bring up the thought of maybe there could be a potential lane swap. Yeah, I mean that is a potential thought, and actually Ezreal Lulu as a support in general is really strong at pushing. Like that's her big strength is harass, but also Glitter Lance pushing, and then you know, small skirmish fights, but. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works. I do like what Katarina is doing, though, because instead of going for killing potential against Ahri, which would be very difficult, Ahri would just, you know, charm her to the face, bully her around, ult all over the place. She gets a little bit of spell vamp. She gets, you know, the utility where she can kind of long-range harass with her Qs and long-range farm with her Qs and be a little bit safer in lane, get herself kind of rolling, get herself into those early item builds. However, any early magic resist will kind of shut down a lot of her damage. So I'm kind of curious if she's planning on going for like a Haunting Guise build to accommodate for that, or you know, how she'll build as a result. Yep, and you know, C-Tabs does standard on, you know, as standard as most AP mids to get a little bit of magic resist just to have it. So she's missing out on a lot of MR. Or, I'm sorry, Magic Pen. Yeah. By not going down offensive at all. Yeah. And you also saw the on the Yorick page also, he's going 9-21-0, so it's going to be a very tanky Yorick also. So yeah, we're looking for a lot of utility from this team. I think we've seen pushing strats before, mentioned before about the potential lane swap, and that's the thing that bothers me is the fact that there's 2 teleports here. Yeah, no, it is going to be interesting what they're trying to do with the teleports. Yeah. One of the struggles that they're going to have is they don't really have... I mean, they have an okay pushing team, but not a great pushing team. So they have the teleports. I mean, as far as clearing waves, Yorick, he's okay at clearing waves, but not really great. Like, he's kind of slow about it. You know, Katarina, she can AoE clear waves, but she has to get in melee range, which leaves her vulnerable to, you know, someone following up with her. Like, she can't AoE clear waves under tower because she's, you know, they're going to pick her off. So that being said, the teleports are probably less so for pushing and more so for fights. Like they're looking to be very aggressive and force some early fights that they can try and snowball off of with their team advantage, and that's going to be kind of interesting. So they don't have any ignites, which is going to be a concern. They have the Taric is going to help them some. Renekton as well. He is going to be an absolute beast, and without the ignites, it could be difficult for them to shut down, and that's going to be kind of a concern. They have a team where they want to try and snowball fights with Katarina. They want to try and pick people off, but I don't know. They might struggle to get Eclypsia low enough to even start a snowball.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. We'll have to see.
Yeah, but Eclypsia,
it is a concern. It is a huge concern.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out for them. I mean, they will be very safe. They have a really nice poke team.
Yeah.
Yorick can help them kite very effectively. Ezreal and Lulu and Lee Sin and Katarina all can poke. They have kind of short range poke, but it's poke nonetheless. Yeah. And they'll try and pick people off. I think it's going to be scary though if Ahri can hit a charm, and the fact that they don't really have a good means of engaging on Ahri. Like if Ahri can be very aggressive in team fights and just throw off charms trying to hit people, and Kiedys Mialem, they have to kind of just sit back and take it. Like they don't really have a good response for Ahri. A lot of times if Ahri's in the front line trying to poke people down, she's very vulnerable and you can abuse her. But they don't really have the team for that. They would kind of struggle to take her down. So we'll see how that'll work. But if Eclypsia can protect Tristana and get Tristana going into that late game item build, Tristana is just an incredible late game carry.
So here we go. Point defense actually coming in from both teams to start things off, just to make sure that no one's going to be invaded. You do have Ahri, you do have Tabs actually way back protecting the blue, while the remaining members of Eclypsia are here looking for an invade. Nice ward in the brush just to make sure if anyone's coming. I'm So Fresh going to be poked by Ezreal as he's edging on in. So you should have an idea, especially with that Lee Sin Q coming on in. And a lot of free damage just as they're trying to camp out the bush. And Eclypsia knows they cannot stay there for long. The more chunk that they take, if they decide to continue on the invade, could be risking a death. More Qs from Lee Sin coming from the bush. But Nunu is hugging that wall, will not get hit with it. And you also see NZQ right here camping out this tri-brush, seeing if he can't force someone out. It may actually go down with Wersona to disrupt some small golem taking.
Yeah, that's fairly likely, and I'm kind of surprised that EC is kind of poking in and out right now because they're not really going to slow down Lee Sin, but I think they want to just keep an eye on them so that they can't fight against Nunu. Like, they want to get Nunu off to any sort of early advantage, and it is a 3v2 here, so Nunu going aggressively for the Blue Wraith, but he is caught out of position. He does have to use his flash, and he will be able to get out, but he is going to take some damage. He will be able to go over to his blue buff, but so it does kind of work out, but not having that flash is actually going to slow him down in counter jungling. It's going to leave him a little bit more vulnerable. He can't be quite as aggressive as he would like to be because he's not going to have a good escape route. But generally speaking, Nunu, once he gets a couple of levels, like level 3, he's just so tanky that it doesn't even matter. He can be extremely aggressive against almost any team. And if you try and chase him down, try and kill him or anything, there's just not much you can do. He's just, this is beefcake, beefy monster that's just kind of roaming in your jungle.
Not to mention, too, that Nunu, he doesn't usually have to back as often. He's very sustaining on his own. If he's getting low, just consume a minion, and you're back to your regular route. Most junglers following an invade like that, recognizing that they're low, would usually back just to full up on health, but Nunu, he does not have to usually. Wersona getting some glitter lances down here in the bot lane. Force some potions down, stun go down onto NZQ. A fair amount of damage coming from Kill War from not too far behind, but lots of potions being chugged down by everyone here in the bot. You also got mid lane. We've been talking a little bit about the Katarina. It's still a little bit early on the creep scores for mid, but top lane is a different story. You already got Renekton looking to put some hurt down onto Yorick.
Yeah, and while he might be the worst Sona EU, he seems to be a pretty fine Lulu so far. He's been getting off some nice harass against Kill War. He does have the ward up, so they can protect against Nunu. They have a pretty safe lane regardless, but Lulu as a support, her biggest weakness is she doesn't have a good disengage. So if you get caught out of position as Lulu, you're basically screwed. So you need to keep up that ward coverage. They get a lot of damage on Kill War, so really nice job with that harass. And Lee Sin is actually making his way down bottom to see what he can do, see if he can steal anything, or maybe even get a gank in. Yeah,
well, he's in a good position here. If the creep wave gets pushed up to tower, they can risk the dive, and they may actually get something from it because you have Taric and Tristana both already at half health. So he is standing by, ready to leap on in. Arkel being pushed to tower here by Freddy. And this double buff Lee Sin can be a huge threat if given the opportunity, but it doesn't look like it looks like he's going to be passing on the opportunity. He also got I'm So Fresh wandering around enemy territory looking for some counter jungling there. Going to be grabbing up those small golems.
Yeah, they both steal each other's small golems. So an even exchange there. Woolite was able to take the big one actually, but leaving the small one. But we'll see. Nunu has been putting some pressure on the top lane. He wants to make sure, because Renekton is naturally pushing against Yorick in order to keep his health up, he's using his AoE clear. It does leave him in a dangerous situation. So Nunu's kind of watching his back, wants to make sure that Lee Sin isn't going to get any aggression in. And they will actually see him buy this ward at the Wraith. So I'm So Fresh. He knows he has a small window of opportunity where he can come in and know that Lee Sin isn't going to be able to counter-initiate.
Lee Sin is also, he isn't too far behind, but he's actually making his way wandering up top lane. He does recognize Yorick is actually starting to get a little bit low on mana, and I'm So Fresh recognizing an opportunity, can be looking for that slow, does get the slow down onto Yorick, but teleport coming in from Katarina to help join this fight to make sure he doesn't die. He is ignited, can he get higher? And he got Lee Sin with the shield, looking to intercept. I'm So Fresh is caught behind. Woolite with the Q, looking to get some damage onto Freddy. But Nunu and Renekton will back off. The teleport, unfortunately, not grabbing a kill, but does save the Yorick's life.
Oh, a Mystic Shot, you can get it.
Did bait out the Summoner heal. Tristana will be safe. Exhaust going down onto Taric, looking for more harass coming in, forcing out the flash from the support, and Lulu getting very low in the process. Meanwhile, top lane is still a bit of a skirmish. You got Katarina not being able to pick up the kill. We'll be backing. You also saw Ari leave lane. Meanwhile, Tristana did decide to stay. Kill War is in a very threatening spot here. A stray Glitter Lance or a Mystic Shot could actually set up for the kill. Look at the damage that Lulu is capable of.
He's a little bit too low to farm, but he doesn't want to miss out on the experience because that'll set him behind pretty quickly. So it's really important for Ezreal and Lulu to continue pushing into him, but they're probably a little bit too low to dive him, so he should be pretty safe there. But he is falling behind, and actually now that he's outside of the tower range, that's the dangerous spot. Once Kill War backs out of the tower range off the backside, Ezreal can go after him and not draw tower aggro, so he has to get out of there. But they were able to push back, so that buys him a little bit of time to go back and not miss out on that much experience. But the top lane, Katarina coming in with the teleport, really nice job. I could have sworn that Arkel was dead, but so they were able to turn it around. He barely got the flash out of there, and then Lee Sin coming in as well. They were able to retreat themselves. Eclypsia was, but because they knew that they had the ward over by the race that caught Lee Sin on his way up, so they knew that they had a little bit of time. Yep. But even so, it allowed Kiedys Mialem to keep the lanes even right now. Yep. And I know we're probably butchering the hell out of that.
KMT. Easy enough.
I just like saying it, though.
It is fun. It is fun to say. So when Katarina did teleport top lane, there was a little bit of experience lost. Ari did actually hit 6 before Katarina did. You got the ult being popped up by Renekton. Actually dashes through and past the Lee Sin Q, but he's still looking for slow, still looking for damage, and Freddy will actually get to tower range. So he will actually be safe. Katarina's spending a lot of time.
Oh, they're going to catch off Katarina.
But you got Nunu not too far behind, hesitant to actually walk back in, and there is Tabs with the ult looking for Chunk on the Woolite. Does dash over to Katarina with an ult to keep people away. Ignite down on to Nunu, but Woolite looking to just get to safety. The orb will be more than enough in the first blood. Credit going to be going to Nunu. Yet Arkel, he was looking to travel on down to help out the rest of his team, but Freddy is there to dash and keep him away. Nice camp out from Camp Eclypsia.
Yeah, really impressive play from KMT, being able to reverse the aggression from Eclypsia. They're catching them out of position. They're like, okay, well, we can play defensively right now. You guys be the aggressors, and then we'll catch you off in your jungle or on the retreating end. So they almost pick up 2 kills there. Regardless, they do. Eclypsia does grab the one. Able to counter off the aggression from KMT. But we'll see, how Ari continues to do going forward. That kill on Nunu, it's kind of nice, but it's not quite as significant as if it was on Ari.
Yeah, but it will.
Oh, he's going down.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of damage down onto Taric and ZQ. Grabbing the credit for that one. He is still ignited, but he will be fine. Kill War. He can still farm from a pretty decent distance. He also got the Buster Shot now after hitting level 6 to keep off some of the aggression away, but unfortunately couldn't do too much for Taric there. Just got chunked out way too fast.
Yeah, so we'll see how they can try and manipulate some of these lanes. It's fairly even so far, but the Ezreal kill, that's definitely pretty big in the bot lane. They can be extremely aggressive. They will be chasing down Kill War. He won't actually go for the Arcane Shift, but they have to worry about the quick burst potential that Tristana has, but they're generally a really safe lane. As long as they keep up ward coverage so that Lulu's not caught out of position, that's their biggest concern. They will be able to control that bottom lane. And that means that Lee Sin's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the top lane and mid in particular. He can just ignore bot lane and know that Ezreal and Lulu can control that.
Tabs threw a ward down, anticipating Katarina to actually pick up the blue, but alas, it's actually going to be going over to Woolite. He's going to be holding on to it. He wanted to take the buff, he wanted to take the creep, also get a little bit more experience and have that cooldown reduction. And how is he building? He's actually splitting off between the Q and the W. So equal damage, equal protection. Arkel getting chunked out pretty big by Renekton, forced to back. He's already below half, so he needs to be a little bit more careful. And this top lane, Renekton is just starting to push him around. It's a 20 creep lead. You do have Yorick being forced to buy into that chain vest a little early. He's going to be having a delayed tier. So with having to invest in a defense, his mana regen is going to be lacking. He's going to have to back a little more often until he gets it.
Well, Renekton's just a great matchup against Yorick, and actually Tabs might go in. No, he's backing off. Renekton is just a great matchup against Yorick because of the regen that he has, and that's usually the way to play against Yorick. Is a lot of times you can actually run health regen in your Quints, just to get a little bit more regen against Yorick, because he doesn't have like quick burst harass. He just has that kind of slow sustain harass. But Renekton's heal more than makes up for that. So, as the lane progresses, Renekton, he has that kill potential where he could actually start to bully Yorick around once he gets finishes another item or two. Yeah. He'll be able to take control of that lane and maybe even force Yorick out of it some.
And even then, he's got that Ruby Crystal. He can just build that straight into a Heart of Gold, and while he already has the lane advantage, he can just continue having the income advantage no matter what. So that can actually set Yorick even further behind.
Yeah, so we'll see. That should be interesting. I don't think either team is really going to press the Dragon that early, though Lee Sin, they do have the potential. KMT, if they get any sort of early advantage, Lee Sin could pressure it, so could Nunu, but I think both of them are going to kind of play defensively. There is a ward in the bush for EC, so it actually just dies, but I'm So Fresh trying to come into this lane. They really just kind of want to bait him in, but there's the slow. Tristana jumping in. The Lulu ult does turn it around, though. I don't think they have enough damage. The Lulu ult's turning it around. Kill War, he is exhausted, trying to burst down Worst Zone EU. They do pick up the first kill. Ezreal's backed off as well, but can Redzer turn this around? Katarina, if he gets some kills, he could get a quick reset. They don't grab Tristana. That would have been the key, because that could have snowballed that entire fight.
That was a bit of an awkward fight, too, because you can tell Tristana was holding out. Wait, R8 coming on in, straight in for a dive, does have the ult up, looking for the burst down on Ezreal. The Ignite will actually be more than enough to take it. Tabs getting credit on that one, and Redzer is going to have an even worse time trying to defend his tower against the three-man push, but Eclypsia will back off. Nice pickup on that from Tabs. Lee Sin defending the mid. Renekton also wandered on down just in case. Giving Yorick a little bit of an opportunity to farm it back up, but it's not going to be anything huge. And this is more time killed. Redzer has no choice but to defend this. Otherwise, Tristana could have been not too far behind to get some damage on the tower, but actually Kill War's going to be doubling on back, grabbing the small golems, and actually could just stay in lane. You don't even have to back after this.
Yeah, so Tristana picking up on some of those mini golems to keep up her farm. Right now, Ezreal does have a slight lead, but Tristana does scale very well in the late game. If she just needs to finish off those first big items, but if Ezreal can use this his advantage to kind of bully her around, that could be huge if they can set back Tristana's items, because if she really is very item dependent. There's a lot of 80s where you can kind of squeak by without having any big items, but Tristana really needs to finish her BF recipe items. So we'll see how that progresses. Redzer, he's done actually a really nice job keeping up with Ahri, and it's actually interesting. When the original changes to Cat came around, a lot of people were kind of complaining about him, but there was kind of this understanding that with the changes to the W, it'd be a lot easier to farm in Katarina. She'd be much more bully.
Is in a bad spot. He's getting caught out by both Renekton and Nunu here. Does get the kick onto Renekton backwards, popping the ult. A lot of damage going down to Renekton, but you got Cat looking for the ultimate, looking for more damage. Ahri straight out running. The Ghoul's going to keep her slowed. Trapped down the bush, forcing the ult out, but Cat over the forest wall, looking for another one again.
Oh, the Ezreal ult picks up Renekton. Cat's going to finish it.
Can you? Yes, Woolite grabbing that one. Very well done. Nice 3 kills off a not so ideal situation. Woolite, very, nice job from KMT to collapse in their own jungle in 3 quick kills.
Yeah, and it was actually a really cool play from KMT because Lee Sin, he was baiting it the entire time. He could have jumped over to a ward at any point in time.
Yeah.
He didn't need to be sitting there taking the damage, but he was just baiting them in. They had no idea. Or, they had an understanding that his team was going to come in, but they really had no chance of killing him. And so he just slowly was wearing them down. Katarina as well, biding her time over the wall until she could finally come in at the end there.
Yeah.
And that's actually really interesting. The mobility from KMT will allow them to do that. Tristana jumping in onto Ezreal, but the Lulu ultimate, it's going to turn it around. NZQ, I think he's going to pick this one up. Can he finish Kill War? Picks up the kill, turning onto Kazmich. Should be able to maybe grab this one as well. It's very close, but just a little bit too low. Will back off.
Yeah, push that wave and actually may be able to make it a second attempt on that. But yeah, the health and the slow with the Lulu ult, and Tristana only really has the one escape. You have the rocket jump, and if you don't have the mana for it, or if it's down, you're
if it's down, as in she just used it to try and kill Ezreal.
Right,
which, yeah.
It's you're very screwed, and it's also knowing how much damage potential you have as an AD carry, especially like one as Tristana. So if the rocket jump was used to double on back, get back to tower, could have actually lived, and but still though, you tried for damage, good attempt, but it just wasn't enough to go through the wall growth. And
that's kind of why Tristana has such a weird growth curve as a AD carry. Most AD carries you see, they have kind of an exponential curve. As the game progresses, you expect them to get stronger and stronger exponentially. Some AD carries like Ezreal or Corki are particularly strong early on in the game, so they kind of plateau a little bit, but they have a really fast curve in the beginning. Tristana, she starts off really effective. She's really strong, or she starts off kind of weak, but she's really strong early game when she can start using her abilities, because they're all close range abilities. She has a lot of burst damage. Then through the middle portion of the game, she drops off drastically, because you get to this point where she becomes purely an auto attacker, and you can't use your rocket jump offensively, like in that situation, because you're going to get yourself killed. Right. And so that's where she falls off. Then late game, again, she jumps up dramatically. Will Light dropping very quickly. Tabs should be able to grab this one. He's trying to shield, but can't quite get it to Katarina. And so we saw in the previous fight, that's kind of what's happening is Kill War, he doesn't have his items yet, but he can't use his abilities offensively anymore because it's going to put him himself in a dangerous situation. That
snipe also on White, catching him in the jungle, did also remove the oracles from KMT. I think he just bought that thing too, which is just, it sucks every time that happens. Freddy with the ultimate, looking for damage down to Arkel. He's quite a good walk away from his tower, but with the slows, he should be able to make it, albeit at half health. Also does have the tier now, looking for the Masamune, so he's going to be okay for now. He's going to have that mana regen, and he also is building into the Frozen Heart Glacial Shroud first, going to protect against Summon Harass, coming in from Renekton as he continues to push it on this tower. 142 to 109, the creep score here top lane.
Yeah, really nice play by Renekton so far. It was a really strong pick for their team. Renekton, he's phenomenal in mid-game. He does fall off some later on. He's just kind of a tanky body, but he will help take a lot of pressure off of Tristana in particular. I do really like, though, the Ezreal-Lulu combo. Every time we see it, it's a really interesting lane combo because once you have the Phage on Ezreal, then Lulu's Glitter Lance plus the Phage, you have a perpetual slow, and you don't have to worry about hitting the Phage procs. It gives you, Lulu's Glitter Lance, if she hits, then it gives you enough time where you can, attack enough times that you will hit the Phage procs on Ezreal, and you can just use it for very easy harass. It's a very safe lane, but you can bully people around easily.
Stun going down onto Ezreal for a little more harass. You got Nunu rushing on up, also Blood Boil and Tristana for a little bit of harass on NZQ as he's underneath his own tower. But Lulu not too far behind with the shield to help some more of that damage. Snowball going down as he shifts away. Stun also onto Lulu. More and more harass coming from Eclypsia here down to spot lane. They want to get some damage on his tower. They want to pressure Lulu and Ezreal. And Ezreal, it is the right time because both these champs, Ezreal is practically out of mana. Lulu's very low. EC might actually be able to squeeze out the tower, but here comes the teleport. Who's coming in? You got Yorick actually not too far behind, shoving everyone away from EC, and Ari did actually start to wander on in. Redzer's not too far behind, looking for more damage, and everyone is shoved out. Nice teleport in, but this is giving Renekton a lot of time here top lane to farm.
Yeah, and the second they saw the teleport in, they decided to get out of there, so they're able to bait it out. That's actually a really nice play by them. But then they're able to retreat, so no gold advantage exchange, and they're actually kind of, Eclypsia is slowly making their way back in this from the small deficit that they had against KMT, and that teleport, because there's no dragon or anything, they couldn't do anything with it. Like, they couldn't force a fight because of the mobility of Eclypsia. They lose the top turret. It gives Renekton more time to farm. Now he's bullying around Woolite. Like, it's just an all-around win for Eclypsia.
And that teleport's going to be down for... I was actually expecting that teleport to be canceled.
Well, the issue is if he canceled it, then it's a 4v3.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like he either needed to teleport in and they wouldn't be able to fight, but it would still be a 4v4. If he didn't teleport, it would be a 4v3, and Ahri would be diving into that tower and picking up those kills.
Also true. Freddy, after taking down that top tier 1, looking for the invade, going to be grabbing up the red buff, steal it away from Woolite. And he's going to be very disappointed and realize, hey, the thing's still here. Now the mark from the map is gone. Now I know what happened. Dash over the wall. Renekton's going to be fine. But Arkel's going to take the time to push here down the bot lane, try and recoup some of that farm, and then wander on up to the mid.
That red buff is going to allow Renekton to be very abusive in that top lane. And at this point in the game, Yorick probably can't lane against him. With the tower, not being there, it just means that Renekton's going to pull further and further ahead. So at this point, KMT, they kind of need to pressure Eclypsia a little bit. They need to force some team fights with Renekton split off. But the issue is the dragon's not up. I think it's up in like another minute, so they can force that. But in the meantime, they don't really have a good means of forcing any fights or getting themselves in this game.
Where Sona could be caught out here. Throws on the Glitter Lance for the slow. Gets stunned by Taric, but Killor will not follow up with the damage. That could have been a much worse situation, but fortunately they did back off. Dragon is back up. Woolite and Redzor are right there. Where Sona with wards beyond the wall, just for a little bit of added protection, and KMT grabbing themselves a dragon, look to continue the gold, and it's still a very tight lead between these two teams. About 1.5k gold separating both these guys. Freddy is already at half. Top tier 2 is already at half. Yorick has just been roaming around a little bit too much, actually.
Yeah, Nunu's coming up top as well, and Ahri's starting to make a way up there, so that they can help Renekton take that turret. It's very close to dropping. They just need to make sure that he's not ganked in the process. Yorick's going to force him off, though. He's actually going to back off. I thought they might just try and bully it down with the next minion wave, but they're comfortable with backing up. Renekton, he has plenty of gold to spend, so that's always key. So he's going to eat through some of that, and actually he's going around for Yorick. I think Yorick's going to go down. He uses the flash. Renekton doesn't chase. But there's the concern. Yorick, he can't lane against Renekton right now, so that's going to be a continued advantage for Eclypsia. Yeah. The longer that lane goes on, the more and more it is going to favor Renekton.
Redzor getting chunked out huge. Tabs using the ultimate for a little bit more. Will it be enough? Ignite going down onto the Katarina, and the Foxfire going to be more than enough. Redzor could just not get away from that. And just now finishing the DFG, already had the Abyssal. So that was with the magic resist. That's with the increased magic resist on Katarina. It still went down to all that chunk.
Oh, kicking over the wall.
Nice, very well done. And shield to the ward. Woolite clearing a lot of distance just to get away from the slows on the Nunu. Top lane, Arkel not in a very happy spot. Ult from Freddy going to keep him protected, and with the extra damage should be able to take down this tier 2 here in top. Woolite looking to catch up, looking to make a kill still happen, but I'm not sure if he can. He's 4 levels behind the Renekton right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Yorick, but Renekton is the best ever.
He's the best right now.
I'm going to let you finish, but Ezreal forcing back Tristan a little bit and building up a farm lead down there. Just really minor one. Tristan has actually done a really nice job in that game. Going on to kill war. There's the exhaust on both of them. The Lulu ultimate is down, trying to turn it around. Or it's actually still up.
Katarina coming on in, looking to clean up. NZQ was pushed back from the Buster shot, actually keeping him safe as Katarina comes to finish up on Tristan. But here comes Ahri and Nunu down the river. Worse Sona, can you get to tower? You should be fine. Not so fresh with the snowball, but Tabs is going in anyway. The burst damage on the Lulu is a little bit much. Tabs grabbing the kill, taking a whole bunch of tower shots. Lots of damage in retreat, but you still got the kill, so good on you. So 1 for 1 so far here in the bot lane.
Yeah, just really quick use of the ultimate, able to back off. It is kind of dangerous. She, was pretty close to going down. And if Lulu had lasted just a little bit longer, then with the ultimate down, Ahri would be in a tough position. But it was a pretty safe play. They knew that they had it. They do have a 1K gold lead right now. Compared with KMT having the lead earlier on in the game. So we'll see how that kind of progresses. Katarina, she does have an Abyssal and the DFG, and that does allow her to pick up quick kills. It will allow her
to snowball the fight a little bit. And then couple that with the aura items. So they have a couple of aura items on their team. They have the Aegis, Abyssal Scepter, and the Zeeks. So prioritizing that, the Zeeks in particular with their Bruiser team will allow them to survive a little bit longer in these fights, will allow them to sustain through the long fights, compared with EC. Though at the same time, it's going to be very difficult for KMT to force fights against EC. Like when they're kind of holding off, it's basically going to be a Mexican stalemate because KMT, they have the mobility where EC can't engage on them, but KMT knows that they can't engage onto EC because of Renekton, the mobility that Ahri has. There's just no way that they can force a fight and pick off the targets that they need to. So it's going to be very difficult. Like the carries for EC are going to be very safe in these fights.
Yep, and not to mention too that now as the levels progress, Tristana, the passive, is getting higher and higher. The attack range is starting to increase more and more and more, so she's going to be further away from these fights, getting down that damage. And you got Renekton up on the front lane. He's getting more tanky. He's got that Last Whisper too. In addition to that Chain Vest, he's going to be surviving a little bit more in those fights. And Ahri with all that burst too. Now also buying a blue elixir on top of the cap and the Athenes. A lot of damage coming from Ahri.
Yeah, the Athenes in particular, it's not a usual item that you'll see onto Ahri. Usually you're expecting Ahri to jump into a fight, so you want something to make her a little bit tankier. Woolite is going to drop very quickly, though. We'll see if he can shield.
No, it's not going to be enough. He had Yorick use the ultimate on him also to do a little bit more damage before he dies, but it's not going to be anything too huge. I think Yorick, you went in and used the ult. I was like, all right, guys, we're going in on this. Never mind. He went down way too fast. I thought he was going to stick around a little bit longer. And EC, all 5 moving on up to the Baron, recognizing that the jungler is gone, that there's going to be no smite. It's going to be a little bit harder to steal. They may also just try and bait it out here. Pink Ward from beyond the wall, and that is all the vision that Ahri needs to get the burst down onto Lulu. Arkel in retreat. Renekton chasing after him. He should be able to grab that. Tabs, is the damage going to be enough? Katarina goes down. Does a double kill for the Ahri. NZQ in retreat. Kill War. Can you close the gap? The damage is as such. You got it.
Yeah, they just absolutely rock them. They have such a strong team fight team. KMT, they don't have a means of picking up the targets. They don't have any CC. They, don't have any strong initiation. They kind of just have to dive at them and hope for the best. Yeah. So EC is able to win that fight fairly easily. But I was going to say the Chalice on Ahri, it gives her, cooldown reduction, and it allows her to spam a lot more, so she can try and pick people off with the snares. Doesn't even matter. They can just dive in on them for the fights. They have an inhibitor down now. They can back off. They have a pretty significant gold lead. They're going to want to go buy some items and then go set up for the Baron, so they can continue to pressure this game and take home the win. And
also all that magic resist that you so need when you're going up against Katarina in mid. Yep. There's so much damage potential there, but as you saw in that last fight though, yeah, EC, the team fights are pretty choice right now. Kindle Gem being picked up on Tarek, that's going to be built into something nice later. Obviously we get the Shirelias later on down the road, or even a Zeke's to add on to Tristana's damage. Tristana looking to build up into the Phantom Ministry, got the Zeal already, and a GA, Guardian Angel, on Renekton. That's bad news for KMT right now, because he's the frontline tank and he's going to be having that extra life. If KMT does manage to get that kill, those fights are going to take a lot longer. And Tabs, just the damage is already there for Tabs.
Yeah, he's in a dangerous spot, though. I'm not sure if he's going to get out of there because Yorick and Ezreal are both going to chase him down.
Wow.
Pick up that kill fairly easily. They are fighting over by the Dragon. Katarina almost going down, but they are very low. Lulu, they're able to back off, and they're actually able to grab Tristana in that exchange. So that worked out pretty well for them, and it does stall off EC a little bit. It will allow them to hold back for the inhibitor and try and get enough time. I think they might be able to hold off long enough for the inhibitor to respawn as a result of that fight.
So everyone backing up to base. Haunting Guys now being built onto Katarina, so for a little bit extra Magic Pen on top of the boots and the Abyssal. Frozen Heart finished onto Yorick, going to be a little bit more tanky, but I'm not sure how much is going to help against a Last Whisper and so much damage from Tristana. You also taking a look here, Lee Sin. I mean, he's had his already goal. He's had some income for a while, but over time though, I mean, he's still even on income with Nunu, so that's a good thing. But you see Nunu, though, he's building up significantly tankier than Lee Sin is. We both have the Aegis.
Oh, Renekton's caught Lulu.
Oh, Lulu.
They're going to try and chase her down. The exhaust goes off onto Freddy, and Warsona gets out of there. But that's an exhaust down for the next fight.
Yeah, the way Lee Sin's built, he has the wriggles, so he's looking to help take the objectives like the Dragon, like the Baron. But Nunu, he recognizes he's going to be on the front line. He needs to tank up. That's what the Aegis and the Glacial Shroud are for. And also, it wouldn't be too bad if they got their own Frozen Heart too. Yorick's already got it. Might as well make the attack speed slow and mutual.
Yeah, so they are setting up around Baron right now. There is about a minute until the inhibitor's back up. So, they do want to pressure the Baron while that's the case. But Red Zor doing a nice job pushing down the bottom. They know they just need to keep all the lanes pushed. As long as they keep all the lanes pushed, it'll help stall off EC a little bit. And EC, they're actually kind of moving down the mid lane. So we'll see. I think they're just trying to push so that they can push them off of the Baron here. Yeah.
In most instances, when you see someone bot lane, you're going to see most teams try and push and force a 4v5. But remember, this is a team here from KMT that has 2 teleports. Katarina and Yorick can just be wherever they need to be. So those are going to be, we can see a fair amount of split pushing coming from Katarina while the ult is still, while the teleport is still up. But you do see EC looking to go and try and steal out this tower. Arkel right out in front, being forced to use the wall growth to keep him alive, and will actually be back with his own ultimate. Katarina looking for damage, but the Buster Shot will shove her away. The Ghoul of Yorick looking for damage. Kazmich will be able to live. Freddy, the ultimate, is now down for the Renekton, and that is a 1 quick kill for Eclypsia. You do have Renekton and Tarek still very low, and if they continue to push on this, you could see KMT grab another.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice job. Freddy's almost going down, almost losing that GA, but they were able to actually tank a lot with Yorick. So Yorick going up in the front line, they were able to kite around from behind, poke them down a little bit. If EC is able to get the Baron, then that's going to be really dangerous for KMT, because they just won't have enough damage to take down the Baron regen. Like you saw there, they're poking them down slowly. They want these long fights where they can poke them down. But once they have the, if EC gets the Baron, then the regen's just going to be too high. They would be at full health right now and still pushing in on the base. But they do have to back off. It stalls them for a little bit longer, to try and get that inhibitor up once again, and then make sure they're not getting that Baron.
Yeah, it's not going to be very long until the inhib comes back up. Even then, when it does, you're still going to have a few minion wave or 2 with some super minions still continuing on to push. Kill War taking a long road back. Everyone backed up. You still have the GA proc up onto Renekton. He got very low, but did not actually die in that last fight. You also got to Tarek buying a red elixir for a quick heal in a pinch if he ever does get caught out. But Woolite leading the charge. There's the call. Mid inhib going to be back up in just a moment. You also got the Oracles back up, looking to clear out all the ward coverage. So if Baron does start, they can try for the engage undetected. Very good ward clearing, but it's just a matter of delaying time. And there you go. The inhibitor has respawned here in mid.
Yeah. So just people getting caught off, a couple of nice fights from KMT where they never fully committed. It was able to stall off EC just long enough, but EC, they're pulling down the door. They should be able to take this inhibitor, considering that the GA is still up on Renekton, and there's not really an opportunity for KMT to defend this, because they can't really fight them in a full 5v5. They're just not strong enough right now.
And even as they're taking this inhib, you still have a decent wave pushing down bot, getting plenty of damage down to Tier 2 there. Orb going down onto Lulu, bringing her down to about half. Lee Sin has to shield just to keep her alive. Freddy staying out in front, being a good tank, taking out a lot of damage. Charm on to Lee Sin, Orb following up also. There's the Q, and there's Katarina looking for the ult, looking for damage, but not going to get everything she wanted. Nunu ult also proccing. I'm So Fresh with a kill, credit onto Cat. Lee is also going down. Ari with some chunk, but Cat, that is a Ghoul. Looking for even more damage. Freddy getting chunked out huge. Does he still have the GA? No, he already died once. Kazmich and Kill War getting caught out. I'm So Fresh. Can he manage to meander back to tower to safety? He could also still grab the kill onto Worst. Sona to snowball, keeping her behind. But Arkel, being a champ, being the last saving grace here for KMT. Very well done. There is the ace.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. KMT did a really nice job getting back into that. And really, they were kind of able to slowly poke them down some right before the fight happened. So while they were trying to take the inhibitor, they never quite made it, but they were poking them down some. Then Katarina, they had the Katarina goal that was able to snowball the fight some. So she was able to jump right into the middle of the team, be very aggressive. But I think what started it all off was forcing off Ari in the beginning of that fight, because Lee Sin and Katarina both dove onto Ari. She had to ult out and, you know, just completely remove herself from the beginning of that fight because Lee Sin almost killed her, was able to get the kick off on her. But we'll see, you know, how EC can try and turn that around. But that actually was a great opportunity. KMT, it looks like they might be able to turn this around. And, you know, maybe that kind of high mobility team is has a little bit more late game strength than I had kind of given them credit for.
We're Sona now with the Oracles looking for the coverage, making sure that their side of the jungle is clean. And now Eclypsia rethinking the game plan just a little bit. Dragon is up. They could go swing on in for that. Has the Oracles been rebought here? No, it does not seem to be for Eclypsia. So they have a little bit of a vision advantage here for KMT for the time being.
Yeah, right now KMT, they are getting pretty tanky. They have those team auras still. You know, so those long fights they're able to sustain a little bit, but you know, EC, they have to be kind of questioning themselves right now. They probably won't force another fight up for that inhibitor, which is going to allow, you know, KMT to get further and further into this game. They were down, you know, pretty significantly earlier, but they've kind of come back here, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how these two teams play now, because EC, they have to be kind of scared of KMT. They don't want to force any fights. But KMT still probably knows that, you know, they have to be careful, because any one fight for EC would just instantly mean game over.
Yeah, Eclypsia, they do see KMT in mid looking to defend that push. You also got Ezreal with the ult, just wants vision on the Baron just to make sure that EC is not taking it at the moment. Very, very careful dance here, right on the edge of this jungle. Got wards going down just for a little bit more vision. EC, their coverage is pretty good considering, and KMT is not too far behind, clearing the waves. And that's it. EC, they're confident enough where they think they can sneak it.
KMT's not going to respond in time.
They don't know. Yeah, there's no coverage here. They're not going to be able to get here in time. And this is also a very quick team from Eclypsia. There's the ward going down, and it is too late. Eclypsia has snuck the Baron, and now they're looking to push. They're all going up to the mid.
Yeah, KMT was just a little bit too scared to go and defend it. They thought that EC was maybe baiting it, but they lose the Baron as a result, and that's going to make things very difficult, because now EC can play a little bit more defensively in these fights. They don't have to full-on engage, and they can take that poke from KMT. They don't have to worry about them, you know, wearing them down quite as effectively, as long as Ahri and Tristana stay alive. They can't allow them to get caught out of position.
You got you still have the mid inhibitor up. They did not take it on the last push, and so much time was killed too that it did actually regen back up to full. But their ping's going down on the bot tier 2. How low is it? Relatively below half, and they can just tank that one out and snatch it up right quick.
Yeah, they'll be able to take that. Ahri's actually pushing up top, so kind of an interesting, you know, decision. I don't think they're going to continue with the full split push. I think Ahri's just clearing out the wave momentum while it's still there. She doesn't want it to push all the way back into her base where they, you know, have to worry about it. So they're just kind of taking some farm advantage. They don't, you know, they're kind of scared to push in still. Even with that Baron, they're kind of a little bit concerned that they would lose a fight to KMT and then all of a sudden be, you know, behind in this game. So Renekton, he's going to be grabbing this Dragon. It's going to be very close. I don't know if he's going to get it. He's probably going to have to jump over the wall.
Ezreal with the ult. They do get vision. The Dragon is very low, but it looks like KMT, they're not going to contest it. They're going to let Freddy grab it, because they're not quite sure how many other members of Eclypsia are there, but they do know for sure that Tabs is not with the team. They've seen him pushing up top lane. Lee Sin and New York going to be stopping that wave.
Yeah, but it's going to stall out the entire Baron buff. So they're going to have a nice little gold advantage here, but they're not really making an effort to get together. We'll see if they have one last coordinated fight while they have the Baron buff still, if they try and push down the mid, because it's really close to them stalling out the entire thing. So they get a little bit of a gold lead. They have a 4K gold lead now. That, you know, that's what they wanted, but we'll see. The GA did just come up for Renekton, so that's kind of a big deal for them.
So they're still going to have 2 minutes. I think that's what they've been doing this entire time, just trying to kill time before that GA to come up, because now you see they're getting their push on here in mid. And they still have 2 minutes left of the Baron buff. That's plenty of time to keep pressure up in the mid and try and force out that inhib. And now with the tier 2 and bot down, they have other options on what to press afterwards. Nunu and Tristana almost here with the team, and once they are, they should be able to see them with their next big push. Freddy out in front, leading the charge. NZQ looking for shots backwards. Lee Sin, this is the poke coming in from KMT. And Freddy out in front, looking for damage. You got Tabs over onto the side, looking to chunk out the inhib. Freddy's still out in front, doing a good job front load damage with the Ezreal ult. Freddy looking to do a mini 1v4 there on the side. And there's Katarina going on in. There's a wall growth onto Cat. Tabs being chunked out huge, and will ult away from the fight. Woolite going in, and here comes Tabs back on in with more dashes, but the damage seems to be a little bit too much. Double kill, Fortress on it down onto York. Redzor does have a GA.
Kill War beat NZQ. One more attack, he does.
Nice. Cat still has the GA, but at what cost? Very low, 60 health. The inhibitor is now gone, and all 5 members of Eclypsia are still back up. I'm So Fresh tanking out the turret. The damage is there. They take out the first Nexus turret. The creep wave comes back in. There goes the second, and it's too much. Redzor getting caught. GA being procced, is trapped between all of Eclypsia, cannot get out of there, and this is going to be it. That is GG.
Yeah, so Eclypsia takes the game. The Baron buff, along with the regen, was just a little bit too high for KMT in the last fight. But it was interesting. KMT's team, because Eclypsia's team was so heavy focused on single target damage, we kind of talked about that in the Champ Select.
Yeah.
They struggled against KMT's team because KMT could just rush on top of them. They could just, you know, bully them around. Everyone on the team just diving right into the middle of the fight. So you had these really hectic fights where KMT was all clumped up on top of Eclypsia, and Eclypsia didn't have the AoE to, you know, punish them for it. So that's usually why you want to have a nice mix of AoEs, so that when that happens, you can just, you know, mass nuke an entire team and punish them for that. But they couldn't, and as a result, a lot of those fights, Kill War was actually in a dangerous position because as Tristana, even with the range that he had, they're able to force themselves on top of her, and he had no means of clearing it out. Ahri, you know, they were able to force out Tabs as well, but the mobility on Ahri was just enough to keep him alive, and then that kind of focus, the fact that they put so much effort into killing Ahri, it might have been better if they had gone after Tristana, but I think they recognized they needed to force Ahri out of the fights. But if Cat had chased down Tristana, that might have actually turned around a little bit better for them to take out the 80 first.
Yeah.